Hi, I'm Carly Reid from CX Today, bringing you all the latest news and conversation from the customer experience technology industry. Today, I'm talking to Maxine from Odigo, and we'll be discussing agent productivity. Welcome, Maxine.
Hi, Carly. It's great to be here.
Thanks for joining us today. So, Maxine, how about we kick off with a quick intro? Tell us about what you do.
Okay, well, I'm a senior account director at Odigo, which means that I look after new and existing clients. I've worked in the contact center industry, though, for getting on for 25 years now. So probably know quite a few people out there.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Maxine. So we hear a lot about agent productivity and the impact of the pandemic. Tell us what you've seen across the industry over the past year or so.
Interestingly, many organisations actually saw an increase in productivity and output from their agents and other teams during the pandemic. So it turned out that flexible home working improved overall productivity, which is counter to a lot of pre-pandemic thinking. But the challenge now is to ensure that agents and other team members don't start to risk burnout. Lots of us have been working longer hours, and for agents in particular, there can be feelings of isolation and loneliness to manage too. That can lead to agents feeling disengaged and uninterested, just going through the motions, and that can absolutely impact both their productivity but also their well-being.
Great stuff. Thank you, Maxine. Now, you mentioned agents feeling isolated there. What can businesses do to really help them overcome this?
So it's important for agents and team members to stay connected to their wider teams and supervisors. There's a really sociable element to most contact centres. They're quite buzzy environments. There's a lot of mutual support and actually learning that goes on just in the general day-to-day environment. So obviously when teams are working remotely, there's a risk you can lose that interconnectedness. So there are lots of things you can do. You can have things like daily team calls or regular stand-up meetings actually every day if you can fit that into the schedule. But also technologies like gamification can help to keep colleagues engaged. But essentially, I think it will probably come down to your company culture.
Okay, so what do you mean by that, Maxine? Can you elaborate a little bit, please?
Yeah, so what I've seen is where businesses invest in their agents, where they give them, they cover the bases. So things like making sure that agents are fairly paid, fairly treated, just as a minimum. No one's going to do their best work if they're worrying about paying the bills or if they're actually looking for another job. So making sure also that the agents know and understand where they fit into the business, what their importance of their roles and the impact they make on customer experience. Lots of organizations, the only interaction they'll have with their customers will be that agent interaction, and every single contact affects the customer's perception of the business, and also can drive or destroy customer loyalty. Also, in the contact center industry at the moment, we are often talk about elevating the status of the agent as more and more of their tasks become automated, either using AA or robotic automation processes. I think it's really important to make sure that the agents understand what that means, that it really will elevate their roles and doesn't just mean that that they're at risk or that all their roles will go away. Also, we need to invest in our agents. We need to give them the training that they need. We need to give them recognition and reward and make sure that we can understand their ambitions and what they want as individuals so that they can see a career path and not just a job. And then finally, we need to make sure that we're investing in the right tools to enable them to do the job properly. So agents need access to back office systems, so they have the correct access to data, make sure it's easy for them to complete those tasks. And similarly, making sure that your customer journey, your customer's experience is efficient and effective, your productivity is going to be really hit if the first 2 minutes of every single conversation or every single interaction is the caller or the customer complaining about wait times or having to contact you several times to resolve the same issue.
Having listened to that, Maxine, that sounds like an awful lot of work.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's more than we put into other roles in the business, but I'm not sure we necessarily think about agent productivity perhaps in the same way as we do other positions. So that said, if you are going to put the work in, make sure that you really understand what the potential output is going to be. Sometimes you'll see really small increments of 2 or 3%. That doesn't sound like much of a change. But if that's in an outbound or sales environment, that can really impact your bottom line. Similarly, things that drive agent engagement, that will really reduce attrition, and the costs associated with that, as I think everybody knows, can be really high.
So let's assume that the basics are covered, Maxine. What else can businesses do to keep their agents engaged and productive?
I think as we come out of the pandemic and hopefully things return to a more normal way of working, if we can retain that flexible scheduling, that enables agents to achieve a much better work-life balance, but it also means businesses will have a wider pool to recruit from. You'll also be able to apply more flexibility around shifts, which should enable you to accurately schedule to need. As well as improving productivity, though, flexible work patterns and remote working has been shown to reduce attrition by up to 60%, which I think is amazing. But it really drives home the benefit of flexible working for the business as opposed to just the agent. Another thing, obviously, is to constantly look at reward and recognition. We all know the difference reward and recognition makes to everybody, isn't it? Not just agents, but make sure that agents understand how they'll be rewarded, what they'll be rewarded for and when, and also make sure that reward is something that they want. Again, it doesn't have to be financial, things like an extra day's holiday, a duvet day, something like that. Just making sure that it's something that the agents actually want can make a huge difference. Seriously look at tools like gamification. Most contact centres have some form of manual gamification and tournaments or contests going on anyway, but that can be really time consuming for supervisors and team leaders to manage. And they can have patchy results, all the results always the same, so the same person always wins, which can be really dispiriting for people who don't win. Also, communication is key. Make sure that it's regular, that it's clear, that it's consistent, and don't skip your one-to-ones. It can be easy and tempting to do that when you're really busy, but I think the one-to-ones give you a really good opportunity to understand what's going on within your agent base. Also, make sure you stay alert to signs of burnout or exhaustion, and make sure your supervisors know what to look for. Finally, actually asking your agents and supervisors if there's anything else you could be doing, what makes a difference to them as an individual. So, once you've got those basics covered, it's really about investing in the right tools and technologies, ensuring the teams feel valued and recognised. And I think that will help achieve an engaged, motivated workforce, which should result in happier, loyal customers, which will give you an obvious benefit to your bottom line.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maxine. I've really, really enjoyed speaking with you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
So that's it from us. If you've enjoyed our conversation, please do give us a shout out. And if you're a CX fan and want to see more like this, then you could subscribe to our weekly newsletter at cxtoday.com. I'm Carly Reid from CX Today. Thanks for watching.